What's good, y'all? Kid Jerome here. I'm reviewing a different album from 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die every single day, and the 13th one is London Calling! London Calling is the third album by London punk band The Clash, released in December of 1979. I have never listened to this album in its entirety. I've never listened to The Clash on purpose, but I'm very familiar with London Calling, as I'm sure a lot of American listeners and especially English listeners are. I'm also familiar with the closing track. I'm familiar with... The first thing that stuck out to me was the singer's voice. It's not that good. It's barely intelligible a lot of the time. It's very unique, I guess is the way I put it. With all that being said, it's perfect for the album. I mean, you don't have to sing well to write a good song. I couldn't picture anyone else on a lot of these songs. His very unique, very signature vocal sound is what gives a lot of these songs their character. It feels like the vocalist is taking more of a musical approach to the songs rather than a lyrical one. It feels like he is trying to match the melodic properties of each song rather than singing on top of them. I feel like this lends itself to stronger music, to catchier music, to more well-polished music, and I feel like it was extremely effective on this album. The true brilliance of the vocalist really comes out in these unforgettable, instantly catchy refrains. We have a handful of examples of songs I just can't get out of my head, such as London Calling, obviously. It follows this structure where it's like, words, 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 London Calling, and I just think it's masterful in execution. We have another one, Spanish Bombs, where it sort of follows us, Spanish Bombs. I'm sorry, I just really don't know the words to these songs. But every time he says Spanish Bombs, I was ready for it. I mean, if I saw The Clash live, I would be screaming the refrain along with them. It's really brilliant how they're able to make something that's so catchy after the first listen, so infectious. It feels like pop music writing more than punk music writing some of the time. Another good one is on Clamp Down, where he goes, da-da-da-da, clamp down. The music, it really matches the lyrics in this sense, where it's floating around, it's doing its thing, the drums are chugging along, and when he says clamp down, it really punctuates it. There's these hits from the entire band, the drum, the guitar, the bass, everything is playing a note at the exact same time, resulting in this very strong, impactful musical landscape for the refrain, for the clamp down. It's really interesting stuff how they're able to make such a simple refrain so catchy. The Clash has a very wide musical palette. You can tell there were a large handful of inspirations going into the making of this album. One major inspiration that I noticed was ska. A lot of these songs are certainly punk songs, certainly new wave songs, but they'll have maybe a ska guitar pattern. You hear that on The Guns of Brixton. God, I hope I said that right. London Calling, Rangamboyo. Rangamboyo even has a horn section in it. I mean, these are borderline ska songs, but they definitely have the London punk sensibilities in them. Every song is undeniably a Clash song. Jimmy Jazz lives in a completely different sonic realm. It's very folky and jovial. It feels kind of like a punk band doing a Grateful Dead song. Towards the end, we have these really wacky off-the-wall circus noises. The Right Profile, on the other hand, has instruments found nowhere else on the album. We have piano, we have trumpet, we have saxophone, we have these bluesy guitar fills, we have these chuggy, jazzy drums. A lot of the songs are happy, upbeat, and really encourage movement. On Hateful, we have these really sort of hushed, well, relatively hushed verses that pick up during the chorus, and each iteration of this verse-chorus structure gives the song more and more energy. Lost in the Supermarket is a great example of this. We have these high-tempo, really frantic, but always-on-time drums. We have similarly always-on-time guitars. And in the song, around the chorus, the guitars kind of cut out. and the drums build energy. They get more intense. The guitar starts to sneak in as the chorus repeats itself before going straight back into the verse. I feel like a good chorus is supposed to change the context of a song, and that's absolutely what happens here. The energy isn't lost in the second verse, and by the time the next chorus rolls around, we have a stronger foundation to build upon, a lot more energy to work with. The energy builds, the intensity builds, going into the very end of the song, going into the outro, and while this was very successful in building the intensity, building the energy, I felt like they failed to capitalize on this tension at the very end. It felt a little bit weak how it ended. It feels like they could have taken all this energy that they worked so hard to build up and finished in a much bigger, impressive fashion. But that's not to take away from the success of the rest of the song. I feel like it was very well laid out. One unfortunate downside to having your album be mostly high energy, high intensity punk songs is a lot of them start to blend together towards the end. I feel like it starts to really drag on. I felt a lot of listener fatigue, and some of the songs feel less inspired than the others. One example of this would be Rudy Can't Fail. It stays at the same energy for a lot of the song. There's not much dynamic variation, and towards the end, the singer sounds almost tired. The song fades out almost as if they didn't know how to bring this one to an end, or didn't put too much thought into closing a song like this. You hear this again on Clampdown. There's little to no dynamic variation, melodic variation, rhythmic variation. Really, the song is the same from start to end. And while it's catchy, while I can definitely sing it back to you, or at least the clap down part, it's not something I find myself returning to. It's not something I find myself being very excited about. This is another fade out song. It just kind of feels like some parts of the song were afterthoughts. The 19-track album is impressive. It's cool that they were able to put out this many consistent songs, but it leads to significant fatigue, and some of the more brilliant songs towards the end of the album absolutely get buried under the track list. I mean, this thing is gigantic, especially for its time. All in all, I like this album. I thought this was a very good album. I thought that some of the songs on this album were perfect. There's some songs on this album I would consider 10s. I think that the Clash made a statement with this album. I think that their sound was perfected on this album. I can't imagine them putting out a better body of work than this. That being said, the track list was a little bit bloated. I would have loved this album to be maybe 13 songs long. I feel like there's 13 incredible songs on this track list, but some of them got buried under the sheer size of the album. So while I think some of the songs are perfect, the album as a body of work leaves a little bit to be desired, and it's sort of difficult to listen to all at once. Some songs that really stood out to me were London Calling, Spanish Bombs, and Lost in the Supermarket. I would recommend this album to English people, fans of punk music, and people who just want to learn more about where rock came from, who want to understand the natural progression and evolution of rock. I would give this album a 6. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you thought about the album in the comments below. If you enjoyed what I had to say, please leave a like. That really helps me out. Make sure you subscribe so I can see you tomorrow. You can click the links in the description to follow my journey. And until next time, never stop listening. Peace.